I'm feeling very proud welcoming Mr. Sajid Rashiani, our guest speaker for this event. Having with over 11 years of industry experience in strategic thinking, innovation driven product creation, and data science expertise. He has worked with various Fortune 500 companies and has driven data products from very beginning to the finished product with a successful launch. He also worked on multiple products across various domains, such as BFSI, pharma analytics, media and entertainment, and many more that utilize AI/ML as their core components. It, it's the industry experience that has led him to become an keynote speaker at multiple forums and commended himself as a renowned contributor to the field of AI-driven product innovation. I just want to congratulate him first. And then recently he has nominated and was on the top finalist for the Aegis Graham Bell Award for Innovation, which is supported by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology Niti Aayog and India Skill India Online. That was a campaign that launched by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Skill India Online is run under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. His formal education consists of bachelor's degree in computer science and VTU from VTU, and he holds multiple certifications in product management and cloud technology. So, with a warm morning, with a warm welcome, I just would like to welcome again Mr. Sajid. Hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Baljinder. I really appreciate the kind words, and I hope you're able to see me and able to hear me properly.
Yes, very much.
Okay. And thank you, BitBrit, for the opportunity. You guys are doing a really fantastic and awesome job of helping the students and the the early stage data scientists to come up, show their talent, and make things big. That's a great platform. I really appreciate that. All right. So hello, folks. My name is Sajid, and I'll be guiding you today on some challenges that all the enterprise faces today in terms of AI/ML. A lot what we do not see from the outside world, and I'll try to answer those queries with a solution that would work, and you'll be part of any organization. So just to make a little comfortable, I'll be speaking English and sometimes Hindi if there are any phrases that we need to catch on. But I'll try to be as easy, as general as possible. And if you have any concerns, queries, questions, anything you did not understand, you are always free. I mean, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, and we can take it forward from there. I'm here to help you, and I mean, don't be shy. If you have any silly question, please do ask. All right. And thank you everyone for joining. That's over the weekend, and you're coming up here. I really appreciate your time. Okay. So moving on, as I mentioned, this is me. I like to travel apart from what I do as a work, but I have traveled around 11 countries so far, including cities that was some desire to me. So I think I've traveled a lot, and I like to talk to many. I mean, I like to talk to people. That's something that helps me in my profession as well. I am associated with another brand in more like a pro bono approach. I help the brand with CMIM, the brand with the market launches, creating the strategies around it, and how do you make more out of an idea, right? So that's what I help them with. Now the agenda. So what are we going to try? What are we going to do today is understand different elements which goes into the AI/ML journey. So we'll start with some facts and figures as first to understand the ground, that how it is and what it is, what is the current scenario basically. Then we'll go one step further with the flow that goes into while you do AI/ML deployments, and what exactly are the interdependencies and cross dependencies across the ecosystem. We'll see how a business use case of how does it dive from ideation to the production. So how that's the journey that we will touch upon. Also, we'll try to understand some deployment processes around AI models, and what's the ground reality around it. Like, does it really go into production, or if it does go, how effective is it, right? We will see that process as well. Key element of the whole deck is the challenges that the data scientist or the citizen data scientist or actual users would face. We'll see some touch upon the important elements of data and models, and lastly, solutions that we usually use in the enterprise level. And when you begin your journey, how does that help you to be aware even before the journey starts, and for sure that this is what the problems are going to come, and how can I align myself to solve those problems. And I'll give you my 2 cents of how can you become successful when you land into such situation or a position, how you can balance the act, right? So the first step, before even we start something, we want to understand the Gartner, who is more a bigger contributor into the information about current trends of what needs to be done. This is more like a bible to every organization who wants to see how the trends going in the market. So without without due, I would like to say in 2024 it is predicted that 75% of the enterprises will shift from piloting to an operationalizing AI. Now, why the 75% and why 2024 is because so far, so long, the companies have been into the initial stage into pilot for at least 2 to 5 years. Now, that's not an easy task that you have data, you clean that data and create models and start pushing to production. That is not how it happens actually. Though it seems like, but it does not. Many models are almost around around 80% will get stuck before production environment in the stage or pilot environments, and that's where the challenge begins. We'll deep dive into those challenges in the coming deck, and we'll try to focus on each of the elements. Now, there are also concerns around, did I create right models before COVID and can I use it now? The answer is no, because COVID has impacted almost all the sectors in a way that the data that you had earlier are no longer valid, in a way that even if it is valid, it doesn't make sense. It will not give you much of an ROI. So I think there's a lot of back to square one kind of approach. We need to think, we need to come up with some realistic approaches, and that's where the whole journey has shifted from ready to deploy versus whiteboard on the whiteboard again, right? So what is the truth behind all this? Like, how does that translate into the numbers, or how does that translate into the real picture? So it's as for the survey, and I have given the sources on the bottom. As for the survey, around 96% of the enterprises encounter training data challenges with respect to quality, understanding the right data, labeling them so that they can be used into machine learning algorithms. Now, uh, the question is again that does everyone face the situation, or there are companies who are into very nascent or the early stages who are facing these challenges? So there are few early adopters who have started getting ROIs on the investments that they have done around 5 years back. That's such a lengthy process. So I think now they have started getting the fruits, but around 80% of the AML products or the projects do not go into deployment for a very long time. And when I say very long time, it starts from 8 months to uh, maybe 24, 36 months as well, right? Also, many people try to, put all the efforts, all hands on the deck to make things ready, to push it as quick as possible. But there is also a challenge with terms of, do you really want to do it by yourself, or can you outsource it? So the crux of this discussion is, if you plan to do it by yourself, you will be either spending a lot of time into it, and you'll be actually consuming a lot of resources. I'm not going to the technical side or the execution side of it, but more from the enablement of those models. Or you would be actually outsourcing the whole thing because you don't want you or you do not want to focus at that point in time. But the downside of that is you might not have a complete confidence that when you have outsourced, will that actually be relevant to you, or how does that work, or will that give a complete confidence? So these are the true struggles quantified on this one single slide. Now, now we have understood so far that what are the challenges, what are the facts and figures, uh, uh, but for those who have actually made it, or for those organizations or the enterprises who have picked up at a very early stage and they have the complete infra, complete readiness to the production deployment, how does that scenario look like? Or do you want to put buckets around it, like this is my model, this is my data, and how does this both work? So this is a holistic view of the total journey. It's always starts from a business use case. There's a problem statement that you always pick with. The definition of a problem is also a bigger task. If you just try to fit in some simple problem into AI/ML approach, you might not get, or you might get the desired output, but it would take a lot of time. So I think there's a fine line that do you want to go with the AI/ML route, or there are other methods and approaches that you want to focus on. So you need to get a very precise, pinpointed business use case that you need to solve for, and then everything starts from there. So if you can see here, we have the first stage or the top of the food chain is the business use case definitions. Once you get the clear idea where you want to go, what you want to do, what are the metrics that you're targeting, then the cycle starts with the data procurements and the data management. So without data, my models are of no use. It will never be able to, it's a fuel for my models, right? So with this data management, there are also challenges. Now, what are those challenges? So first is you need to understand that uh, my data integration, or my data which is residing in multiple locations, it's on cloud, on-prem, or if it is with dedicated infra for it. So I think that's the challenge, that you want to consolidate all the data that you have. You then need to create pipelines. Now these pipelines are very important to give you constant flow of data. There's a streamlining required for it, so that your models are never thirsty for the data. It always has the right amount of data, right quality of data, right? So that's a second step, where you want to see your data is always healthy. My profiling on the data is always healthy, right? So that's where the wrangling and the cleaning part of my data comes into picture, where you have for example, if you have around like 100 million records, and out of those 100 million records, I see there are 10 millions which are just junk values. That does not make sense to me, or there are erroneous data that I have, I need to clean it. And that's where the whole cycle takes a lot of time, just to get the right set of data that you can use for your cataloging or for your model deployments. Now, we do create a data repository. Now, this data repository is constantly evolving. When I say constantly evolving, it's continuously learning, continuously updated. There are auto ML which runs on it. It predicts not in terms of the model, but it predicts the the taggings that goes around it, the quality of the data that you need. So it gives you a lot of information on your data lake or data pool that you have created. Going on the other side of the fence, there is model deployment infra, where once you get the data, you start using the data, you engineer features around it, you train your models, and then you evaluate, like, is it up to the requirement that we are looking at. Now there is a fine balance again over here with respect to the speed versus accuracy. That's what you want to balance it out. So there's always a trade-off that you need to do. So something that's a data scientist and ML engineer's job to make sure that we are on right track. Lastly, if everything goes well, if everything is successful, you then jump onto the deployment. Now, from the deployment, from model creation to deployment, there are a lot of things which comes into place, which this diagram does not depict. The one big challenge is, how do you automate the whole process? Now, model creation takes itself a lot of time, but maintaining the production deployment in a very streamlined fashion also takes time. There are some infra dependencies, there are some automations that needs to go in, and there's a constant learning that comes into picture with your model. Your models are not going to be forever. It's not going to stay as is. The data changes, your model needs tweaks, and that's where you need to refine, retune again and again, so that it makes sense with the data that you have, right? So that's the flow that goes into the whole data and model life cycle. Now focusing on, now that we have seen the facts and figures, we have understood how the flow works. What exactly are the challenges that everyone faces? Like, why is it so difficult to focus on just a simple model deployment? Now the journey starts with data integration, as we just saw in the last slide. So it's data integration is also a challenge, because my data is residing across cloud technologies, across on-prem, across locations, and I don't know that my data is ready yet, right? So I think the integration part is again a challenge, where a streamlined process is required. There's a framework that needs to be created so that your data is always available. There's a pipelines that needs to go into under the hood, where this will actually help you for a easy procurement of your data. So that's where the integration comes into picture. The second key challenge is the preparation of the data. And when I say preparation, it's all about quality checks that you need to run, the profilings that you want to run on your data, the the sanity that you want to do, and moreover, you want to get that trustworthiness on the data, that this is what I want before even I look into it. So I think that's where the the identification of the right data and cleaning process is something, the base that would be considered for any data uh, driven processes. The last part of around data is the selection of my data. Now that I have done my cleaning, I've got the data, but what amount or what set of the data is important for me for my analysis? Now that is something, a key challenge is always to cherry pick the right set of the data that you have from the pool of data, and then comes into model deployment. Now model deployment, of course, is a separate domain in itself, but just to summarize on the problem statements, model deployment has another factors, like we are not sure yet of what exactly the output is. Now that boils on back to the business use case that we wanted to achieve. So it's always about fine tuning with our constantly evolving business use cases, and our model development also fine tunes as the business use case goes in. And lastly, the deployment challenges, where this time with respect to the deployment readiness is huge. So by the time you have created your model, you might again have to wait when your deployment processes are in place. And by then, when the deployment processes are ready, you already have to fine tune the models that you've created. So it's more like a catch 22 kind of situation, where it's a constantly evolving, and you might want to close that gap so that you can jump on the ship of deployment as soon as possible. Moving on to the other side, these are all transactional problems that a user faces, like, or an enterprise faces. But there are other problems wherein, apart from this, there are key challenges around governance, like who sees what. That's a big challenge concerned with the privacy, governance, GDPR, California laws, and there are so many data governance models that you need to follow when you are dealing with data. These data can be sensitive, for example, the EMR, the electronic medical records of patients, or the financial data of the users. So there are a lot of governance which comes into play. So I think that's again a key challenge with data and models as well. You don't want to expose something which is sensitive, and you might end up losing money instead of making money, right? Then there's a black box problem. Now, this is a very generalized term, I would say, but it means bigger than that. The black box problem is it's all around the trust that you can create on your models. I don't know my model will behave in what fashion. I don't know my model will give me the right information for me or not. So there's a black box approach that goes into, and which actually poke holes in the confidence that you have while you create your models. There's a limited talent. I'm repeating this limited talent because there are so many data scientists or the data scientist personas in the market, but the right talent for the right domain is very less. So you might know how to do it, what to do it, but you might not know the complete picture of what you're doing it. So I think that's where the problem lies. And there are very less people who are actually able to deliver it from start till end. The bigger after this problem is the data availability. I need constant data. I need, a variety of data so that I'm not biased on it. So there are a lot of data availability issues as well. And now that is something which will have a direct impact on the model success, right? And lastly, my complexity and my compute power, which is a must. I know, there are models who need a very large compute powers, and they need time to execute. So I think I'll not go in details of models. That's not the scope. But the point is, like, not every organization or enterprise is ready to shell the bucks on those kind of infra, which is going to be like too expensive. Because there's always an evaluation of the ROI versus the execution or the operational cost that goes in, right? Now, this can be a very relatable slide to everyone. And this was something when I asked with one of my engineers in my team, and this is what the picture that I've shown down is something very relevant. So it happened so that I asked my engineer that, by when can we have the model ready, because we are waiting on it for a long time. And my engineer said, like, sir, we just need more data. I said, okay, so how much are we talking here? He said, like, just 68 millions. So 68 million seems like a very small number in terms of AIML model creations, but that's where the problem starts. The integration of that data, the preparation that goes into to get that 68 million records in shape, and lastly to select what goes in for actual model identification or the actual model evaluations. So all the enterprises face this challenge because it has biased data, which is for sure, and we need to do a lot of brainstorming on that. There are noisy data which has so much to do, sanity around it. And lastly, there are a few unstructured data as well. So I think the how much data is enough data is never quantifiable. It's always less, what I believe. But that so is the situation, so is the scenario, which is constantly evolving, and you want to keep updated with the data that you have, and you make more sense, more accuracy, and of course not trading much on the speed. Now, speaking of the model deployments, I believe the model readiness is also important aspect. Now, when I say model readiness, the focus area while you do model readiness, or the challenges that you face, is like extracting and selecting the features that you want to consider for your models, right? The training of that particular model, fine tuning the hyperparameters, and evaluating and validation of your model. These are the stages of your model readiness, the stages of your model development. And I'm sure most of you have faced, who are working as a data scientist or looking into the similar roles. Your mind will never let you sleep peacefully. As soon as you think that you are about to sleep, you will see something that, can I try that? Maybe that will help me to get what is required, right? So over here, your brain is constantly trying to pitch you in or poke you that, can you try 0.01? And that's where you want to do it. So I think it's a constant fine tuning. There's a constant change that requires constant evaluation that goes into picture, which is also a challenge in terms of creating the model and making ready for the deployment. Lastly, when you say deployments, it's a big challenge. This is the biggest problem area for all. Now that you have done your all the research on the data, you have created a recipe of your models, it's ready to be served, but do you see as an easy go? The answer is no, because the time it takes from your model creation to deployment is a big challenge. A, B, the readiness of the infra that you want to go ahead with for a model deployment is also a challenge. And third, the data that goes in, the real time data that is required for your model success, is also a blocker. So I think all in all, there are so many hurdles that you need to clear just you before you jump into the production environment. Now there's a small picture which also again says, like, there's a guy coming in who is kind of saying, hey, you're from CS background, right? And I am from the stock market. Let's make more money. How? You can create AI focused model and you're just trying to say, and this guy who knows that the real challenge is just shut the door. And that's how it is. I mean, you can't just know everything and jump on to make it a success. There's a lot of effort, a lot of clarity that goes in. There are a lot of readiness that goes in when you jump into deployment of those models. Now we have discussed so far. I'll just recap everything we have discussed on the data readiness preparations. How do you clean the data and get that data available for your models? And on the model sides, you have done all the analysis that you need to do. Pick the right model for your data, or for the right data, basically. Create the data in terms of, or maybe fine tune that data if required, and model fine tuning. But now your model is ready. The challenge here is the deployment. Now, how do you fix that? I mean, for me as a new person, when I joined the industry, there are a lot of self-learning that went, but somewhere the hard way, somewhere with the easy ways. Now, what I understood with each of this problem statement was with respect to data integration, preparation, and selection. This is the data segment that I'm talking here, and we'll see the model segment in the next slide. So over here in the data segment, the streamlining of the data integration from various sources, maybe cloud or on-prem, is a must. If your data is residing only in one location and it's a big struggle for you, you might want to talk to infra team to make it cohesive in a way that the data is easily available, it's all time available, and for you it makes more sense with the availability of the data. Preparation, you need to do data wrangling, you need to use tools into market. I will not be able to say any tool names due to privacy concerns, but there are a lot of tools in the market, and to make sure that your data is trustworthy and ready for consumptions. Lastly, once you have all the recipe ready, all the components ready, you need to have to pick the right data sets, and for that you need data cataloging and metadata management tools. Now these are must. Why? Because your data is residing somewhere, you have done your cleaning part, but you know the quantity and the type of data is so huge that you might not get the right data in right time. So to pick the right data, you need some data cataloging and metadata management tools. We can connect offline if you need the names, but these tools are really important. You need to emphasize on the tool so that you know what data you're talking, and you know the quality of the data that goes in the bundle for these tools. The second bit of the solution part is the models. Now, we discussed black box in our past slides, but I think the bigger or the right way to look at is going with the white box models approach. So it gives you explanations, because enterprise does not blindly rely on numbers. Tell me why. It starts from there. Tell me why. Tell me how. So these are a lot of questions that you need to answer before you even get that trust. So enterprise will always ask about explainability of your data models, and tell me why is it, tell me how is it, right? So that's where the influencing parameters and the prediction that goes behind and the behavior of that particular model goes behind needs to be articulated in a way that you get confidence, and that's where you use that models without any hesitations. The final leg is the deployment again, where the monitoring of a particular model or model's performance is a key element. This is a constant monitoring that goes in once you deploy into the production, and capturing those performance degradations. Like over the time, my data has shifted. There's a big delta in my data. There's a change in a way that my data is no longer valid. So do you expect a right output from your models? Your models will be projecting like, hey, it's 85 to 70% accuracy, and this is what it should look like. But does that make sense when my data input is not valid anymore, or it's no longer relevant, right? And the last but very important part is the automation. So once you have your deployment and everything, but there's an automation which makes the end-to-end operationalization of your data. Without that, it's impossible. You cannot, basically, because it will get stuck. It's a one-time success kind of a thing. You have deployed, you have pushed it, but there's no automation. The next time it's going to be a huge headache and huge time consuming and effort consuming, where you may give up on continuing with the constant fine tunings. So I think this is the approach that you need to take. You need to have automation, and the key takeaway of the whole solution is every enterprise data science project should always start with a plan to deploy models in production. and evaluate value and realize the actual potential that your model will have. So even before you think of getting your models on the road, you need to clear that hurdle which is going to come next. It's else it will be just waiting at a railway crossing and you cannot cross it because it's not possible for you even though you have everything ready, right? Now I will be considered about the time that we have. Here are my 2 cents regarding all my experiences that I had around it and the way the journey has so far been. These are the 3-4 key elements that I've learned in the journey. Is changes in real world data will have that will actually decide the lifespan of your models. Like if your data is too volatile, if the domain that's too volatile, it does not going to make sense with the models which were well performing. Now they are not. One size do not fit always. So you need to have, you cannot say I have created a model now that will be applicable for a multiple business units or the business problems that you have. It will never work. Maybe, maybe a overlap to it, but it will never work on it. Every business use case, everything needs a very dedicated approach on creating models and fine tuning those models, the hyperparameters and everything, which will influence the outcome. Okay. Lastly, the models are always evolving, and so is the real world data. So I think there's a constant shift there's a shift that goes in with respect to the data and the model that you're working on. Business use case changes, your models change, and that's a constant learning that goes in, and it's very time consuming thing. Lastly, you might want to do a trade-off based on case to case and studies. There's a slight, I mean, you can do some predictive performances for a model with the operational performances, or there's an explainability which comes into it. I think you can do some slight trade-offs over here, but not much which will impact the accuracy of it, of course. So I think this is where to summarize in a way that these are the takeaways that has come out with very much efforts went into it. Um, just to keep you everyone posted around it. Like you will face challenges, you will face when you begin with the AI ML journeys, but that's not the actual picture starts when you start getting results of it after you have spent so much time creating those models and the results that's coming in. So over here in the image that we see, it's always you will face challenges at your first times. But I think over the time, over the journey where you will spend more time, get more expertise, things will be really, really simple. Not simple, a little easier than I can say. Right. Lastly, if you have any questions, please do connect over LinkedIn, and you can connect with Baljinder as well if required, and we can discuss any suggestions, queries you have. And thank you so much for joining on this session. I really appreciate your time, and I hope I was able to enlighten you on the key areas that goes behind the screens of the enterprise level. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Now we are open for Q&A session. If anybody have any questions, please unmute yourself or ask question. Or if not, you can drop a question in the chat box as well.
So either my session was so easy and 100% in, or it was completely out.
No. People will ask.
People, please feel free to ask questions.
Hey Sajid, Sadiq here.
Hey Sadiq.
Thank you very much. The session was very informative and quite detailed. It really helped me. I have one question. Maybe you can shed some light about smaller companies, which basically want to just hop onto this fad of AI and machine language. Maybe it does not fit the bill for all. It's maybe something that they are not really sure, but they tend to just go in that direction and waste their time. Maybe it's not a very good fit for them.
Sadiq, the last part, some disturbance for that. Can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, Sadiq. By mistakenly I mute you, so you can unmute yourself. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I don't know where I got cut off. So basically, what I was trying to say, Sadiq, is if you can shed some light about how smaller organizations can make a decision point where they want to enter the world of AI and ML and start spending this time and resources, and a way for them to figure out if this approach is a fit for them or not.
Right, right. It's very, very important question, I think, Sadiq, and that is the prerequisite basically, even before jumping into the wagon of AIML. I think the how it works for smaller organizations is usually they pick a very simple use case which do not require much of infra. They do not require a lot of resources. However, they would require data and the team that could actually give sense of the data. So maybe you do not want to jump on a bigger use case which makes a bigger financial impact. You can start with small ROIs on smaller problem statements with the data, and that would not require much of investments or blocking much of a time, but rather it's a very conscious on maybe simple models like regression you can use, right? So I think those are the simple approaches that they can use to solve smaller chunks of problems. Once they get confidence and they feel that these are the models or these are the processes that are in place right now which can help me go to next step, that's where they can make a decision. Also, they can parallelly take help or maybe consult companies who have already been to the journey, and most of the time there is a small outsourced POCs that they do with these companies. I think if they do not have required infra or if there's a budget constraints, they go very small steps at a time, and once they get the readiness, the mindset readiness also is required, Sadiq, when you go with that, because there are a lot of doubts. Will that AI ML approach help me or not? Will I get the ROI from my business or not? I think you can start small. Do not invest more. That would my recommendation. And of course, there's a constant learning that would go from that company side as well. Did I answer your question, Sadiq?
Yes, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
There is one question in the chat box.
Okay, the question from Rishabh Kumar. Thank you, Rishabh, for our question. How difficult is it for small scale startups to implement AI models, learning, training on live streams of data, for example, stock market or yeah. So I think not just stock markets, there are already startups who are working on the media and ads, because there's a constant ad flows via Kafka and other streamlining processes. So I think it's not a difficult part. What I've seen so far, there's a huge surge in the small startups basically adopting AI MLs because they've started generating value. And to be honest, that also becomes a part of their pitch deck as well for the investments, that these are the capabilities that they showcase. And for me, it's not, I believe that's not difficult. The only challenge that they would face is the data that you need to procure that data to start your first step. I think that's where the set process is. And second is what problem are you solving with that data? So it's, even if it is stock market or sports predictions, what problem statements are you solving? What is the impact that you're going to generate with that data, or the solving that data with? Now again, like, is the impact really big? That is something that you need to evaluate on the and impacts can be on social impact, this can be financial impact. So there are various categories of the impact that goes in, but I think it's not difficult for any companies, not even just small startups or big startups. But I think you can start on that part. Okay. How can a bias in a data can impact our model? Very, very Kunal, thank you. Very simple example. Let's say I have done a survey. Now in that survey, I have, let's say the question was very relevant, was like work from home, yes or no, or maybe, some elements around it. Now my survey says, like, 80% of the people says work from home is ideal. Do you see that data is right? And participation of that particular data was only 500 people. Will my data will be right to tell me? This is a very simple example, though. I know that, but will my data be be right to tell me that my model's predictions would work perfectly or not? There's a wide range of geographies and demographies that we need to consider when getting that response. So I think when you quantify that to a lesser set of surveys, my answers would again bias my models as well. So there's always that you need to fine tune, you need to understand what my parameters is. So of course, bias in my data uh, is going to completely impact on my models. Now, not just my models performance or the outputs, but there are a lot of scenarios which gets added over the fly, over the time, which I also need to consider while I reshape or fine tune my models. So yes, you need to evaluate those parameters, and you need to fine tune it with your constant learnings. Arnab has asked question: in a particular release cycle of say 4 to 6 months, what is the best time to decide when to implement AI/ML strategies, and also how can they be related to risk management? Okay, so to be honest, Arnab, the best time is again like dependent on a lot of factors. It's difficult to say. There's no ideal time which goes in, and I really don't want people to rush just to implement AI or ML, but depending upon your release or depending upon the urgency of the situation, you need to do that. Very relevant example again with the COVID. Government needs to run the model. The government needs to predict things. How the second wave, third wave is gonna hit the nation, right? So I think there are models which predict those. Now that is a need of the hour. They can't wait for any a proper processes as well. Sometimes they just need to do things as quick as possible so that the citizens are aware about what is coming next. In fact, there are other pharma companies who have done seasonal allergies or seasonal medical stock availability models. I'm not seen in India though, but in the other European and American nations, that they run this model and they tell the citizens that there's an allergy wave gonna come, so please have these medicines in house because there's a lockdown, and this was before lockdown basically, sorry. So I think you need to keep these medicines ready. Be sure that you do not get infected with these allergies, the pollens and other things. So they predict on that. So I think it depends upon the nature of the urgency and the use cases. Let me check again. Did I answer everything? Implementation. Okay,
Yes.
how can they relate it to risk management? Yeah, of course. So it depends upon on the nature of the use case that you want to connect with. So few are mission criticals, few are more from the ROI perspective or experimentation perspectives. But of course, there are some risk involved always in that. And trust me, these are not 100% blindly reliable ones. You do need to put yourself into that position and understand some logicality that this is going to help you the way you expect. Yeah. You're welcome, Varnam.
Anyone have any question? Anyone? I think everyone is done.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you, Sajid, for a wonderful session. And thank you all for joining. Thank you for being a great audience. I think there's a question again.
Okay.
From Sunil
Saumil. Okay.
Saumil.
Hi, Sajid. What are your thoughts on AI/ML in terms of future business opportunities? So I think, Saumil, in terms of business opportunities, it's huge. I would say because as a human, you'll not be able to completely interpret the whole data that you have. You'll not be able to make sense out of the data completely by your own. So AI/ML for sure is a rule book that you can follow, but not blindly. Again, I would say, because there are chances that AI/ML models will not be able to capture those this information. Now, in terms of the hotel management or hospitality sector across the globe, nobody has predicted this could happen. However, now they will be using models and all to predict things. How can they get stabilized into future? Or simple sense, even now the market is coming up. There are models which helps you to guide you that what this can happen. Make your decisions accordingly, or this is what your data says. Make your decisions accordingly. Now there are layers to this data predictions and with terms of business opportunities. One is a simple interpretation of the data. The second is the prediction that you get from the data, and the third is the prescription that the model gives you, that you need to do like this or you need to take these steps. Those are prescriptive way of understanding the data, and it will give you this is what you need. So many or very few many organizations are trying to reach that level, but there are very few organizations who have reached onto prescription analytics. Simple example, Facebook and other social media companies who actually run these models to tell you what we need to show next as a to the user. They run this model, they evaluate you, they see what you spend time on, what kind of content you like, what kind of ads you may click. So there are a lot of analysis which goes behind it, and of course this creates bigger business opportunities which are not tapped in past generations or years. Okay.
I think there is one question for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Arnab, I will share. We don't share the recording directly with the audience. We will upload the video while by after editing some some animation or something my company will feel to add. After that, we will upload it on YouTube, and definitely you can watch it. It will be available on the channel. So the channel name is BitGrid. So you can find another webinars as well. I think there is one question from Rishabh.
Yeah. So Rishabh, you will see my LinkedIn connection name on the invite itself, the meetup invite. If not, you can just Google or you can search me on Sajid Rashiani on LinkedIn and you'll find my name. There's no other Sajid Rashiani, so it will be a very cakewalk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a uniqueness.
Yeah.
So any more questions? Are we good to go? Anyone? Again?
So even if you get any questions post our session, just ping me on the LinkedIn,
Yeah, sure.
and I'll be more than happy to help you out.
So I think there is no more questions, Sajid.
Yeah.
So we'll going to close the session now. Again, after saying closing the session, there's again an Saumil Panchal.
That's a thank you note.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Saumil. Appreciate.
Thank you, Saumil, for asking a wonderful question and praising the session as well. So thank you again for everyone joining the session. Hope we'll meet again. Thank you, Sajid sir, for the wonderful session and interactive session. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you for joining the session. Goodbye.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you.